Hey everybody, this is John Barton from JB Cases. So you're probably wondering, why do I have this thing on my head? The reason I have it on my head is because I have to debunk once again another claim by somebody who claims that our interiors damaged their queue. Um, so this gentleman says that the interiors have damaged his vintage queue. He's personally seen it where it's damaged beyond repair, a vintage Irish linen, irreplaceable Irish linen, he says. Um, so I have gone over this a zillion times about what our interiors are made of. This is a nice soft fabric. Now, of course, just looking at it on video, it doesn't mean anything to you. Um, but this is the same fabric that they use in computer bags. They use in all kinds of cases. This is not something new to me. When I got into case making, I found the softest but strong fabric that I could find. In Germany, it's called Deco stuff. It's there's lots of names for the type of fabrics that they are, but it is like a polyester, nylon, acrylic weave um, that is made very soft on one side, kind of like a velvety touch, and the other side kind of has a sheer side, more like silk. Um, so if I showed you that here, I'll show it to you on this. It's the same stuff that our bags are made of. So I mean, or basically another way to say it is we make our bags out of the same fabric. That's the part that touches your queue right here, and this is the other part on the inside. I don't know if you guys can really see this really well on there like that. But anyway, basically either side here would work fine for queues. Um, I like the softer side, I like the side that has a really soft feel to it, but either side works. So the thing is that if you go and how do I say this? Look, queue protection is our number one deal. So the thing of it is that this is extremely important to me. Anytime someone makes a claim, it's extremely important to me. I'm if I have a fear at all in the Q case game, it's the fear of, if I have like nightmares. The one thing I have a nightmare about is finding out that I screwed up and the interior is not protective and it's harming queues all over the world, and there's going to be a big giant epidemic of queues being damaged in JB cases, and that's it. I'm going to be ruined. So I kind of obsess about this stuff. I test it out. I look at it. I try. I've tried different fabrics. I've tried different ways. I mean, there's lots of fabrics you can use for the interior of queues. Jim Murnack used nylon. He used a nylon that felt rough to the touch, but he swore to me. He goes, look. He didn't swear to me. He just claimed. He goes, look, John, this stuff's not going to hurt a queue. The finish is too hard, and so I got one of his cases and I took the interior liner out and I tried it. I tried to hurt a queue with his liner. And what I told him was, I said, well, Jim, it's not just if it will or it won't, but it's also the perception of whether it will or it won't. And he goes, well, whatever. Perception, it doesn't matter. My stuff is good. It's tough. It won't hurt a queue, and that's that. So I took it out and I rubbed it. I did the rub test on queues and everything. And sure enough, he was absolutely right. It did not hurt the queue. Or I couldn't make it hurt a queue. Still, I wouldn't use what he uses because it doesn't feel good to me. So that would be a lot more convincing on my part, to use that material. That said, since I did that test with Jim's material, I have been more confident in using other materials than this fabric on request for different reasons for people. So we do that too. We're not adverse to using a different material. But the main thing is here is that this claimant said that our material hurts cues. So I have here a couple cues. This is a gym bus. It has what appears to be kind of an older Irish linen on it. But you can sit here and rub this on here all you want, and you're not going to find anything. You're not going to, there's nothing that's going to change on here. Now, of course, if you add pressure to this, lots of pressure, and you hold it really tight and you do that, then yes, it may abrade it somehow or something, because friction, of course, if it's high enough, a high enough heat can make changes. But if you're just talking about using this, the way that it is in our cases, which is just a gentle hold, I mean, this is literally how it goes into a case. So the guy claimed that even draping the material over the cues, even loose like this, he claimed that even if it's loose like that and just barely going over the cue, that even when you pull the cue through that will introduce pilling on this. Now, this is Irish linen. Now, for those of you who don't know what Irish linen is, Irish linen actually is a broad name for the types of fabrics made from the flax plant, or the flaxen fibers, basically. And that allows them to make a longer fiber that actually reduces pilling. So you have less loose fibers in the fabric. Pilling comes from loose fibers that work their way up to the surface. And so when you have a longer strand of fiber, you have less loose fibers of that, and so you have less pilling. But furthermore, what we call Irish linen on cues is actually a waxed linen cord. So this is used in all kinds of different applications, but in pool cues, we wrap the cue with it, and then we press it. So we actually go on with wood or rollers or whatever, and we press it down so that not only it's glued on, okay? So there's glue under here, and then we press it, and then we clean it, and that's what's called a pressed Irish linen. So it's even less likely to pill or get any problems that way. So at the end of the day, it's like this. Our fabric has virtually zero chance, all right? I hesitate to say zero, even though I feel like it's zero, but it has virtually zero chance to negatively affect Irish linen, leather wraps, finishes on pool cues, any of that. It has virtually no chance to affect any of that. And frankly, I'm really tired of people making these claims, because nobody has shown up to my booth in all of these years that have made these claims. They've made claims that it will dull the finish, that you can dull the finish on a cue. They have made claims that it will scratch the finish on a cue. They have made claims now that it will hurt the Irish linen on a cue. And over the years, I've said, look, if you want to come to my booth and you want to take some of this fabric and you want to basically masturbate the cue for hours, go for it. And if there's any change, we can document everything right there. We'll put it all on a live stream, and you can sit there in a chair and, try to cause a scratch to be in the finish, or try to cause some damage to the Irish linen using this. I predict that if someone were to try that, they're going to see pretty quickly that they, A, can't do anything, that it's ridiculous to make that claim, because the way a cue case is used and the way our interiors are built, there's not enough pressure and there's not enough friction to do anything, even if our fabric would do something, under high enough pressure and repetition. So, with that in mind, of course no one's ever taken me up on that challenge. I made a $5,000 challenge once along those lines. So, I'm tired of hearing it. if you're going to come with claims, be ready to back them up, okay? Because anytime I see such claims, I'm going to debunk it. Now, what bothers me more, though, is the fact that when somebody holds these views, I am pretty sure that they are out there telling other people these things in person, you know? So word of mouth, it's like anti-word of mouth. And I wish that people would not do that. You know, I wish that if there's a claim that they have that they can prove, then bring it to us. You know what? If you can prove that, you will destroy my company. Okay? You'll destroy it because I'll have to recall everything, right? If you can prove that it happens on a regular basis and it's not just like a one-off on your particular queue or whatever. And see, that's the whole thing is people come up with this stuff and they attribute it to our case, but they don't have any proof of this. They never back it up. They don't come to me and say, hey, before they go make these public claims, you know, they don't come to me and say, hey, I think that your case did this. Now, some people do that, right? And then we'll talk about it and I'll try to replicate the problem. And if I can't replicate it, then I'll show them. I'll say, look, I tried everything. I can't replicate this. So, you know, at this point, I have to say that our case didn't cause that problem. There have been a few times when you know, we've done something that did cause a problem, you know, but that was just like a bad sewing day or something. You know, it wasn't because of the materials we use. It wasn't because of the way we build the cases necessarily overall. It's just because somebody in our shop screwed up when we were building the case, and there was a problem. And that is very, very few. You know, more often what has happened, you know, is the customer and I have just come to an agreement and said, hey, neither of us have any idea how your queue got damaged. You know, no real idea, because whatever it is that you think happened with our case, it cannot be duplicated. So the only conclusion that I'm left with is that the case didn't cause it. Nothing I can do about that. So that's all I'm saying is if you are somebody out there who wants to make these claims, just come to me. Let's figure it out, you know, and see what it is. But please don't go make the claims without, you know, just anecdotal stories on there, and especially on a worldwide forum. I hate to go up against people like that because it's, first of all, it's easy to debunk for me, and I have to debunk it. I have to do the work. And secondly, all it does is give our customers a platform for them to come in and say, hey, I've been using John's cases for 10 years. I've been using them for 5 years. I use them for my collectible queues, right? And then the person making the claim looks foolish. They're like, well, I know that it happened. I know it. You know, the thing is, though, is that I understand that something happened to your queue, and I understand that you think that our case was the cause of it. I got that part of it. But when you put it out on a forum, you can expect me and my customers to debunk it. You know, if let me put it a different way. This customer or this person claimed that not only did it happen to his queue, but he went further and he said it will happen to everybody's queue with Irish linen on it. That's what he said. So if in fact this is a common occurrence, then what would happen is when you put that claim out there on a forum, you would expect to see, especially since we've got thousands of cases out there, you would expect to see corroboration, right? You would expect to see other people coming forward and saying, yes, that happened to me too. Yes, that happened to me too. Look, that happened to me too. That's also on mine. But we don't have that. And furthermore, the claims that I have for people that say that the case damaged their queues is minuscule. You know, it's like a couple a year. And that's it. And again, no corroboration, so it's not happening to everybody. So yeah, that's where we're at today. And I just want to let you guys know that I'm confident in the fabric that we use. Can't hurt your cues. And that's it. So claim debunked. Myth busted. All right. Anyway, and you cue makers out there, you don't have to worry about it. I've heard tales of a few cue makers and a few cue dealers saying that our cases are too tight, they'll hurt the cues or whatever. Any cue maker that thinks that, you can bring your cue here and you can test it right here in the shop, and I will give you $1,000 cash. I'll give you $1,000 cash if you can hurt your cue, assuming that your cue is properly made and the finish is cured. Don't come in with a finish that's not cured and stick it in my case and say, oh look, the case did damage when the finish is not even dry yet. But if you have a cured finish, the cue is good. You can come here to JB Cases, or you can come to any booth, and if you can damage your cue, in other words, if my case will do damage to your cue by normal usage, you get $1,000 cash, $1,000, and we can film it. We can film my sad face paying out the money, and there you go. That's all you got to do. If you want to make the claim and you want to tell your customers that our cases are not good for your cues, then be prepared to explain why. I'm not going to call out any names right here. I'm not going to do that. But I have heard, of a few cue makers who allegedly have said that. And I've heard of one big-time cue dealer who allegedly, said that our cases are not good for cues. And then, back in the case war days, there was a case maker who said our cues our interiors would dull a finish on a cue. And I debunked that, way back then. So anyway, there you go. That's the fabric report for JB Cases. So thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.